Small-scale fisheries play a fundamental socio-economic role by providing food, nutritional security, improved livelihood, employment, and poverty reduction. In Malawi, small-scale fisheries are the main source of fish and other aquatic foods, contributing to about 90% of national fish supplies, providing nutrition to over 11.9 million people and employment to over 200,000 women and men. Despite its expansion, the small-scale fishers in Malawi face enormous challenges. Fishers from Lake Malawi, Lake Malombe, and the Shire River have over time not been able to fully access and own resources such as fishing gears, boats, and fuel, limiting their capacity to fishing and earning a living.
It's indeed, we are facing a lot of challenges in the fishing sectors. One of it is infrastructure, such as landside facilities. For example, sanitation. It's also a big challenge. The second thing is fish processing. In fish processing, we have some other problems, such as fishing dry, lungs, freezing, packaging, and smoking. And the other big challenge we are having is climate change, which is also talking about disaster. On disaster, as we are talking now, our fishing land sites are flooded with water. So it's becoming a very big problem for us to do our work in our sector.
The sector has also been hampered with gender inequalities towards women, youth, and more especially persons with disabilities who also have limited access to fisheries resources. Similarly, children are often involved in fishing and subsidiary activities, notably in the processing and the sale of fish. Working conditions of most of the small-scale fishers are unsafe, resulting into accidents and loss of life. Small-scale fishers are not recognized as legitimate stakeholders in the fisheries management, which would result into formulation of policies and regulations that overlook their needs and interests. To address these challenges, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations launched the Small-Scale Fisheries Guidelines in Malawi in 2021 and supported the government of Malawi to launch the National Plan of Action for the implementation of the voluntary guidelines for securing sustainable small-scale fisheries in the context of food security and poverty eradication in the country, also known as the NPOA-SSF.
The FAO has been working together with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Climate Change, specifically the Department of Fisheries, to implement the small-scale fisheries voluntary guidelines. Maybe I can just give a background a bit. The SSF guidelines is the only global instrument that is especially dedicated to improve the livelihood of the small-scale fisheries. We've been working with the government with support from the National Task Team to localize these guidelines. In the last year, in 2023, we worked with the Department of Fisheries to develop and launch what we call the National Plan of Action and for the small-scale fisheries guidelines. And this National Plan of Action was basically to ensure that the guidelines are fully adopted, fully localized, and they can be implemented within the Malawian context.
Aligned to the Malawi Agenda 2063, the National Plan of Action on Small-Scale Fisheries focuses on 5 key thematic areas, which are governance of tenure in small-scale fisheries and resource management, social development and decent work, value chains, post-harvest and trade, gender equality and disaster risks management, and climate change, seeking to create a vibrant, equitable and sustainable small-scale fisheries sector that benefits fishing communities, conserves fishery resources and enhances the country's food security and prosperity.
Governance of tenure in small-scale fisheries, and sustainable resource management. That's the first one. So looking at how issues like, let's say, landing sites and the like, areas where these fishers catch their fish, how they're supposed to be managed. There's another theme, a thematic area, that is social development and decent work of the fishers, small-scale fisheries. There's another area, thematic area that we looked into, which is value chains, post-harvest and trade. So, when they harvest the fish, when they catch them, they need to be taken to the market. So how is the situation like and how we can improve it? Issues of gender equality, that's another thematic area, very important also. And finally, we have included the issue of disaster risk management and climate change. You know very well that what is happening now, like now I think the lake is rising. Most of the areas are now flooded with water. So we needed to plan very well in events like these ones.
The formulation of the National Plan of Action on Small-Scale Fisheries is a prompt response to the Small-Scale Fisheries Guidelines to serve as a comprehensive framework for coordinated efforts, outlining monitoring procedures and establishing the governance structures with collaborative measures for stakeholders within the small-scale fisheries subsector to collectively undertake. The National Plan of Action on Small-Scale Fisheries is a blueprint expected to achieve strengthened small-scale fisheries governance structures and capacity of small-scale fishers, increased food and nutritional security, enhanced safeguarding of rights, participation and well-being of men and women, enhanced livelihoods for small-scale fishers, and adaptive capacity of community structures for climate resilient and disaster risk management in small-scale fisheries.
The overall objective was one, to ensure that we bring awareness to the stakeholders, that there's this issue that we need support from them, and see how they can bring in their support. We wanted to develop a framework which will ensure that there's effective implementation of contributions from the small-scale fishery in terms of food security, nutrition. Fish is also very good in terms of nutrition. On that one, I have to highlight that in Malawi, for example, 70% of the protein, animal protein, is coming from fish, whilst about 40% of the total protein consumption that is consumed in Malawi is coming from fish. So you can see the importance of fish. So I wanted to ensure that there is effective contribution from the small-scale fisheries in terms of nutrition, but also in terms of economic contribution and the livelihoods of other people that depend on fish.
To achieve this, the government of Malawi will need support and commitment, advocacy, strengthened policy coordination, and a call to action from high-level politicians, policymakers, practitioners, financing institutions, development partners, the academia, and other stakeholders in small-scale fisheries initiatives, thereby contributing to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals and the Agenda Malawi 2063.